Life, it has its storms. Some storms are physically, some storms are mentally, some storms are spiritually, but life has its storms. Today is a physical storm. The rain is pouring, the thunder is rolling, and the streets are getting wet. And you could be unfortunate like me and get stuck out in the rain having to walk home, or you could be fortunate and be inside your car in your home and you have to worry about the storm. Sometimes storms are calmer, like today's storm where it's just thunder and rain, and sometimes storms are violent and vicious with tornadoes and hurricanes. But life has its storms. Maybe you're in a physical storm today, or maybe you're in a mental storm today, or maybe you're in a spiritual storm today. But I want to give you a passage in scripture of a storm that was mentioned. It's referred to in many books of the Bible, but I'm just going to tell it as a story to enlighten you of the storm. There's a verse, a passage located mainly in the Gospels of a storm where the disciples were at sea away from Jesus and the storm was raging on the sea. You see, I'm pretty sure if the disciples knew the storm was going to be, they wouldn't be on the sea. No, they probably would stay in a house somewhere on the coast, because this storm terrified even the ones who were fishermen at one point. It terrified the disciples. The waves were crashing, the storm was blowing, the thunder was rolling, and the rain was pouring. And it terrified the disciples. And to make matters worse, the disciples in the middle of the storm noticed a figure out in the distance, and they thought it was a ghost. They freaked out even more. It's like, oh, there's a freaking storm going on, and now there's a freaking ghost. We're all going to die. We are going to die. And Jesus goes, do not fear. It is I. See, it wasn't a ghost out in the sea. It was Jesus walking on the water. And not just walking on a calm, flat water, but walking on a storm where the waves were crashing, and Jesus was calmly walking on the water. And my favorite disciple, just because I relate so much to him, is Peter. And Peter goes and is like, if it is you, Jesus, call me out on the water. And Jesus goes, come on in. The water's great. And Peter, without hesitation, I love it because Peter's just so thrilled to walk on water. He steps on the water and starts walking to Jesus. Now, it's not recorded how many steps he took. It was probably like 2 or 3, but it could have been like 16. But he started walking on the water. His eyes were focused on Jesus, but the storm was still going on. And he starts to focus on the rain pouring, the thunder rolling, and the waves crashing around him. And he starts to get scared. And he starts to sink in the water and freak out, and he goes, Jesus, I'm sinking. Jesus, I'm going to die. I'm drowning here. And Jesus walks over to Peter, pulls him out of the storm and goes, why did you doubt? Why did you take your eyes off me? Why, Peter? And Jesus lectured Peter while he was drowning. Then Jesus picked up Peter and brought him on the boat. And when Jesus and Peter were both on the boat safe, the storm stopped. This story I love because there are so many better times for Jesus to stop the storm. Jesus could have stopped the storm when he was walking on it. He didn't have to hike up waves. He didn't have to go through the piercing rain. He didn't have to hear the thunder all around him. He could have just calmed the storm and walked over to the disciples. Jesus walked on the water during the storm. Here's a better ideal time. When his friend Peter was drowning, Jesus could have walked up to him and calm the storm. He goes, come on, get up, it's not that bad. But Jesus didn't. Jesus waited until they were safely on the boat. This always makes me think, why? Why would Jesus pass up these seemingly ideal times? Then I think about why Peter sank. Peter didn't sink because the storm was overpowering him, because it's impossible for man to walk on water. No, Peter was sinking. Why? Because he took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the storm. Us as Christians, us who believe in Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus and all the miracles that are recorded in the Bible, we believe in a God who has a bigger plan. How often when the emotional storms or the spiritual storms or even the physical storms come in and we take our eyes off Jesus and focus on the storm, when the tornado warnings go off and you're hiding in the basement and freaking out, are you focused on Jesus or are you focused on the earth shaking around you? When you are in a mental storm and you are worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, or you're crying because your boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with you, and you are freaking out because all the emotions seem to be putting in, and you don't know where to go from here. Are you focused on those emotions and the storm that's happening there? Are you focused on Jesus? When the spiritual storms are coming in and temptation is overwhelming you, when you feel like you're a sinner who cannot ever be what Jesus wants you to be, are you focused on your sin and the storm of your spirit, or are you focused on Jesus? You see, the storms happen, and Jesus allows us to go through the storms so we can focus more on Jesus. You see, God works on the supernatural where He walked on water, but He also works in the natural. Jesus knows, God knows how we work and how we learn, and He tries to teach us through the trials and the storms. So, you might be facing a storm today. What is God trying to teach you? Everything's a teachable moment. For Peter, Jesus was teaching him to keep your eyes on Jesus. In this storm, this spiritual storm, are your eyes on Jesus? And if so, what is He trying to teach you? Guys, that's just my penny. See you next time.